Oh, Bear, you ready to go do chores? Let's do it. Let's go. He's waiting for me to go down the stairs. Are you a good boy? It stormed so bad last night. I don't know exactly what time it started. It was something around 2 or so in the morning. And it went on for the better part of 2 hours. Like, horrible, horrible thunderstorms. It's actually sprinkling right now. It was the kind of thunderstorm that like shakes your house. It was a ton of water. I had like kids crying in my bed. Maya was up trying to find the pump to pump the water out from in front of the house because it backs up really bad. It was a rough night. You know, Bear, it would be great if my farm helper had opposable thumbs because I need that bucket of feet. Hey girl, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm about an hour later than usual out here because it was still heavily raining an hour ago. And I checked the radar and saw that it was gonna clear over for a little bit, so I just waited. Guys, carrying the milking stuff is not too much. Carrying the milking stuff and a camera is not too much. Carrying the milking stuff and coffee is not too much. Carrying the milking stuff and a camera and coffee is too much. So, I need the coffee, right girls? Oh look, my knight in shining armor. Hey, can you help me? I can't quite maneuver this.
I kind of want to just take the camera and watch what happens.
If I just add another
Here,
hit.
let me help you.
Drink my coffee. Probably not sweet enough for you.
No, it's not.
Hey, Anna girl, come on, let's go milk. Look at this cuteness. Girl, I feel you right now. This is that mom life, right? So guys, I'd like to introduce you here in the front, coming to see us, the lighter of the two new bucklings. This is Dave. I was speaking with a little friend of mine the other day, a friend of mine's daughter who is a fan of our channel. Her name is Ellie. And I told her that I was gonna keep one of these new bucklings because many of you actually taught me that whenever you're trying to breed good genetics in, it's actually better to breed them in with the male. And I was hoping to get girls from Winona because I wanted more good milkers. But it does make sense that if I take the male and then breed him over my other girls that he's not related to, then I am therefore multiplying those genetics at a larger rate. I have to wait a little longer, but it will be better because in 2 generations I'll have multiple babies with her genetics rather than just having, you know, a daughter in 1 generation. So that is a really great point, and like so many things, you can have more and better if you wait a little longer. And we are keeping Dave, and Miss Ellie suggested his name, David, and we could call him Dave, and so that's what we're going to do. He's very, very pretty, and so we're trying to handle them pretty well. Just to make sure that they'll be easy to keep when they're older, when he's older. Bear, quit eating goat poop, you nasty. Maya is the milk stall bouncer.
Gotta run interference.
I set that bucket of food over there last night because I had to go next door to check on the other goats. And I just set it by the gate. I tried to give her some hay. She was like, no. Oh, thank you. So I've actually started milking all the girls, which is why those kids are hollering, because they want their moms. They want breakfast. They're okay, even just waiting an hour later than usual. We put them up late last night, so I knew I had a little bit of leeway this morning. I definitely do not love the feeling of being in my house listening to a thunderstorm with torrential downpours just like roar out my window. I mean, it was intense. So much water. At one point it just felt like the thunder and lightning were just right on top of us. It was just, you would see the flash and almost immediately hear the thunder. And man, when like everything you work on, when you have all these animals and all this stuff and it's all outside, you just feel helpless like whenever a storm's coming. Now we have sound structures, and I knew everybody had a way to get out of the weather, but still, it's just it's a really helpless feeling. However, the morning after a storm is probably my most favorite time on my farm. I love the golden hour in the evening, especially in the summer, and going around for walks. But the morning after like a raging storm, the farm feels so alive. I especially love it in the garden. And of course we don't have that right now, but even just the farm, the grass and the trees, just everything's so rejuvenated. Of course there's a lot of soluble nitrogen in the rain, and I just love the way that it feels the morning after a storm. So I would just skip bringing my coffee out to the milking stall. But, I mean, I have to sit here and wait for the does to finish their grain, because usually we're done milking before they're done eating. And so having my coffee in the milk stall in the mornings is one of my favorite farm pastimes. Clover, why you gotta look at me like that? She's like staring at me, staring into the depths of my soul. So I upgraded my milking stuff. I've used a little small strainer for years now that a friend of mine gave me. This is actually it right here. And a friend of mine gave this to me when she got out of goats, and she had Nigerian dwarf, so of course you're not straining a lot of milk at once. And I finally moved up in the world and bought a full-size strainer, and so I can pour my whole bucket in at the same time, which is very nice. We're currently getting a little over a gallon a day. Anna is like hitting full swing of production now that she's what, like 6 weeks past freshening. And the girls that I just started milking, their production will go up a lot over the next few weeks. So we'll be getting even more. Like right now, I got a little over half a gallon in this milking. And then this evening I'll milk Anna again and get almost another half. And I'm not milking Winona yet. So she's gonna be a really big producer, and her babies will be 2 weeks old next week. So I'll be able to start milking her. Either way, I have a lot of milk right now and having to figure out what to do with it. And I think I might try to make some cajeta today, which is like a caramel sauce out of goat's milk with a little bit of like pepper. It's a little spicy. And of course I'll get into making cheese and all that stuff, because I'm now in like, it's weird because like we'll be getting milk, we'll first start, we're getting like a quart a day, and then it goes up and goes up and goes up, and the more does I start milking. And it's like, we're just using it all, and it seems like there's not enough, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, we have so much milk, what do we do with all this? All right, milk is strained. Tobe, you ready to go out back?
Yes.
Guys, tomorrow is March 1st. It feels so good outside right now, even though it's extremely humid and wet. And though we still have very good chances of a freeze over the next month to month and a half, I can start planting out some things now. March is kind of like pre-spring for us. Now Benjamin, his birthday is the 6th. Toby here, his birthday is the 9th.
It's gonna be my golden birthday.
Your golden birthday. He's turning 9 on the 9th. Toby was born on a very spring-like day. Benjamin was born in an ice storm, so March can go either way for us. Good morning! Y'all look at this. There's a goose over in with the pigs. There's also some ducks down there in the pigs' pen. Nah, they probably won't make. Oh, the goose made it under. He went under in the creek. We've actually been transitioning the high tunnel, and today Maya and I are gonna open the sides up. In our 10-day forecast, we don't have any forecasted days that are significantly below freezing. And so we're just gonna open it up. Everything in here right now is cold hardy, so it can freeze, it won't be a problem. And right now I just wanna get some airflow in here, because the stuff that's left, I just want it to last. I don't want it to be dealing with mildew. Now, we need to put fans out here, we're aware of that, but we just haven't put the electricity out here. We've looked into like solar panels and stuff, but we made it through the worst of the winter, and now we're just gonna open it up. And we'll probably leave it open. You think we'll probably leave this open?
What are you doing? Am I helping?
The only reason I would close this back up this spring is if we do have like another cold snap come through, and also once it is like April, if I'm gonna plant some tomatoes and stuff out here, I may close it back up then if it's gonna be even slightly chilly or near freezing at night, because it'll keep the edge off. You ready to put this one up? Yeah, you can help.
So what do? You're doing this like I don't know what I'm doing.
Wait for Dad to be down there. And you're gonna go that way.
So
Because look at the rock. Yeah, you gotta twist it so that the rod rolls up and wraps the stuff around it.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Good job.
We got this, Dad.
We got this, Dad. Alright, I'll take it. This one's even harder for me because it's tall. I can't do it! I can't reach!
This is funny.
It's like 2 inches too tall for me to be able to maneuver. Yeah. Well done, sweet Maya. Some of you who live in colder places than me, which is a lot of you, you're not even really to the place of thinking about planting more frost hardy stuff. Because if you still have 3 months of hard freezing temperatures, it's not gonna work for you to plant stuff. However, for some of you that are in climates like mine or closer to mine, you could totally be direct sowing out things that can withstand a freeze. Like root vegetables. I'm so out of breath from rolling that thing up, I'm sorry. Like root vegetables, leafy things. Yeah, I'm wanting to water. Kales and brassicas, like broccolis, cauliflowers. Maya, look how massive these Brussels sprouts got. And everybody tells me that they'll taste so much better after freezing. Look at all the green. Ew. Don't
Come
you
here, baby. let me love on you.
You're nasty.
Let me show you my love.
Look at this. We could have Brussels sprouts tonight.
With the
Pulled pork on sweet potatoes and roasted Brussels sprouts, that would work. Maya's taking some of the spent plants out to the pigs. This goose is hollering. Does this farm know I'm trying to shoot a video? It's so good and distracting. So as I was saying before, I was distracted by my lovely Brussels sprouts. Right now I'm gonna start direct sowing, and this is not in my high tunnel. This is outside in my garden. I'm in central Arkansas. My zone is 7. My last frost date is the beginning of April, but I have sowed these as early as January. The only thing is, when you're gonna sow anything that's frost hardy, that means it can survive a frost outside. If it's gonna get 25 to 28 Fahrenheit, like -4 to -2 Celsius, something in there, if it's gonna get below that, you probably wanna throw some sort of cover over these plants if they're outside. They can survive a lot. Like all this stuff in my greenhouse, even though it looked really, really rough when it froze, it was very cold here. It was -5 Fahrenheit, which is -20 Celsius. Like it was very cold here. And the greenhouse was just as cold as outside because it had snow on top of it. So that acted as an insulator, but it kept any sun from coming in. So it was almost exactly the same temperature in here as it was outside, just minus the cold wind. And everything here snapped back, but it was very acclimated. So when you're talking about cold hardy plants, they can survive a lot colder than even what books will tell you if they're acclimated or if they have a little bit of cover, like a cover from the wind. So right now I'm talking about direct sowing this stuff, and that will work, especially because if you're direct sowing it, it's coming up in that cold. You know, you might be having freezing nights, but you're having maybe a little bit warmer days, and it's growing in that. Now it's a little different if you start things inside and then move them out, because it's not acclimated. Even a mild freeze can kill plants that have only ever grown in a greenhouse. I love direct sowing for this reason. You don't get the head start, but you get hardier plants. So I'm gonna be direct sowing in my garden like this week. I'm hoping maybe to be able to get out there today. I'm probably gonna grab some seeds before it starts raining again and go stick some things in the soil. But calendula flowers, that's a great thing to direct sow early. All root vegetables, turnips, beets, rutabagas, carrots, all of those things can go ahead and be direct sown right now. Radishes is another thing. All the leafy stuff, all the brassicas, sweet peas like you know, snap peas or shelling peas, not the southern variety, not like black-eyed peas, but like English peas. All of those things, very cold hardy. You can go ahead and put them in the garden. Just keep an eye on the forecast, because if you get a really cold night, it'll knock them out. You don't have to wait for your frost date in order to get back in the garden. Now don't be tempted on a warm day like today. It's 65 here today, that's 18 Celsius. Don't be tempted. This is not real. This is not time to plant your tomatoes out. I know it feels warm. It won't stay warm Follow your last frost dates, look it up for your area. And if you want to take a risk, I will tell you, sometimes a couple of weeks before my last frost, if my forecast says that it's not going to freeze again, I'll go ahead and direct sow some stuff. I'll throw some extra seeds in for things like cucumbers and melons and squash and herbs, maybe some flowers, and I'll throw them in. Just take a risk. If my 10-day forecast looks clear, it looks like it's not going to freeze, but that's gambling. I always know that I could lose all those seeds, and I never transplant plants that I started out early, ever, because I've put too much work into those to risk them and gamble them away. Toby, why are you all wet? Is it raining again?
No.
What happened to you?
Dad was washing off his hands, and he splashed water in my eyes, and then him and me made a choice.
I
Yeah.
really just kind of splashed water in your face.
Was he being a pesky dad?
Yeah.
But why did I do that again?
It's because I rubbed mud on his shirt.
Oh, the rest of the story. You rubbed
yeah,
mud on his
and
shirt.
And then what happened?
And then him and me made a truce.
You made a truce.
So it doesn't escalate further.
Yeah.
Oh, now that I'm back here by my pigs, I remembered something I was wanting to advertise. We had a buyer fall through for some of our cut Mangalitsa male pigs. So they're not for breeding, they're gonna be feeders. And we're selling them for $100 each. They're already, what, 4 months old? So if anybody is interested in those, Maya said, email him at his email, maya@rootsandrefuge.com. I'll put it down below. We have a few of them, so it'll be first come, first serve.
And 7 days to Vince.
Yep, 10 days till your birthday. You know, March is one of my favorite months.
It's my favorite month. It's my favorite month. Also, it's because it's my birthday's on it.
Yeah, your birthday's in March. Well, I like March because I have 3 baby birthdays on it. I have yours, I have Ben's, and Noah's birthday. So we have Noah, which is Maya's youngest brother, who's kind of a bonus baby for us. He's been with us for a long time. He lives next door with his wife, but his birthday's the 12th, so we have bam, bam, bam birthdays in March.
Oh, yeah.
So it's always an enjoyable month. Lots of love and celebrating life. And it's time to start planting stuff again, which makes me so happy. You want to do the planting stuff dance and the birthday dance?
What's the...
Yeah. Exactly how I feel, Toby. What do you think, Maya? It's probably about time to move these girls, huh? They have done their job well here. Where do you want to put them next?
I don't know.
You don't know? The latest word we have is that our barn will be here tomorrow. We'll see. I hope so. It would be great if I got to have some kids born in the barn this year, but they might not. We'll just have to see. My Nubians are looking really close. I think we're gonna move the chickens over here. I should have mulched this already and I didn't. And so I think we're gonna move the chickens over and bring some compost up here and just let them scratch it out and spread it out and add to it and just leave them here for a couple of weeks. And then as soon as they're done, I will mulch it. Are you going in?
Yeah, I'm going in.
What do you say?
Goodbye. I bless you until next time.
Thank you, Toby. I've been closely watching the straw here to see what survived of my onions and leeks and garlic, and it looks pretty full. Hey, Bear. Bear, come on. You don't go up in there. It looks pretty full. I think we're gonna end up with a good harvest, even though it did get so cold. One of my favorite things that came out of this, look at this. That's a bean sprout growing up out of the soil right here. One of my favorite things out of this freeze that we had was all the comments of people who live in very cold places telling me stuff like, oh, my onions and garlic routinely live through freezes like that, and you know, different things that they say are perennials that people say shouldn't be perennials in their area. Oh, Bear just got popped by the fence. Hey, come on. That was a bad choice, bro. And it just made me think, I really hope that in the position I have to be able to talk to so many gardeners in so many places, I really hope that I can drive home the message that we should definitely be just trying things. We should definitely be pushing the limits. We should definitely see what we can sow even if it's not the suggested time to sow it, what we can grow even when it's not the suggested time to grow it. Because some things are black and white, like a tomato is not gonna survive a freeze. But there are some things that people will say, oh, don't plant this until the soil is this temperature, or don't do this until this XYZ. And while those are guidelines, they are not black and white rules. It's just not. I mean, reading the comments of people telling me what survives in their extremely cold areas, it makes me feel like I could grow anything here. Because a lot of the stuff that I was really worried about dying didn't die. And it was very cold. And while we did have 18 inches of snow, therefore some of those things were insulated, it was still very cold, much colder than like all the books will tell you. So the moral of the story for me is, don't let anybody tell you you can't do something in the garden until you have tried and learned firsthand that you can't do something in the garden. It seems like the more I do this, the more I learn that we have tried to explain and simplify something that is not nearly as simple as we've tried to make it. Trying to write a list of rules for the garden, it would be tempting to say, do this, don't do this, ever. And I think those are good. Again, it's good guidelines. But I want you guys to know, those are not black and white rules. Well, my family has all retreated into the house for breakfast, and I'm going to go too. Thank you guys for hanging out with me this morning. I bless you. Until next time.